Awesome. Welcome back, everyone. Session 2, cold month. I think I might have said this last session, but the the cold exposure challenge specifically here, and I mean there will probably be several other group initiatives that we do where you actually don't do much of it on the call. I think actually towards the end of the month we will do one where we like collectively go do a cold shower and come back. But until that point, like I wanna I wanted to make some of these themes or some of these conversations more just to check in on I think you might call them like bigger principles, cold stuff and challenges like this, largely getting comfortable with discomfort, overcoming resistance. And actually the one that came up for me very strongly was positive stress or like healthy stress on your body. So I think we're going to shift a lot of this call into really digging into sources of positive stress and what the fuck that actually means, because I don't think a lot of people have positive as a word they would associate with stress. So first things first, a kind of quick just admin note. I feel pretty comfortable with how things are set up in the back end of Circle. So this week, I'm basically going to start messaging everyone with links to transition over Circle. I know we're in a strange kind of like lull time in the chasm between a mighty transition and the Circle transition. So deeply appreciate those who have weathered the storms with us so far, and very excited to be on a new foundation for the next several iterations of what we're doing here and where we're going. I think that's kind of the whole summary of Circle. We are locked and loaded, getting some new content in. Like I've shared in a few of the previous emails that have gone out that John and I recorded a course of mine that we're going to be releasing in Circle once that's up. I also dropped in this week with John doing a deep dive on anxiety, and particularly social anxiety, given that next month's theme is social anxiety. So yeah, there's a lot of content coming in the back end. Circle will also, it's not that it was blocked, but once Circle is up, we're also going to be opening the doors again to some of the high existence community. And I mean, if anyone has people they feel would be awesome to bring in here, so we'll get some new faces coming in, and really kick off the kind of 2.0, or maybe you could call it the 1.0 of the official dojo release, given that we have never presented this space as it lives as the dojo thus far. So yeah, fairly excited for the transition, hoping to make the next 14 days in particular as smooth as possible as we go through the Circle migration. But yeah, we are still in the cold immersion month. I want to give a little bit of space just to talk through how it's been, talk through anything that's come up. Tips, tricks, challenges, mistakes, learnings, whatever people feel called to share. I will give a shout out right at the beginning here that we have a little tracking doc in the chats. If anyone wants to join on and actually do, track how they're going. Shout out to Jan and Sarah and Darius for jumping in on that with us so far. All right, maybe I'll start with what my experiences have been like. So context for me is that, I mean, cold showers have been a huge part of my life for a while now. Really, really like them. One of the big shifts I noticed is that normally when we get up in the morning, Chloe and I will do like a kind of yoga meditation thing. And so by the time I get to shower, I've actually like kind of woken up a bit and moved around. But there are a few days this week where life came up and we were doing yoga stuff later in the day, and so I had to go straight into the shower, straight into the cold, like off of nothing in my day. And my God, it was significantly more confronting, significantly more confronting, and just the immediacy of how quickly my mind and my body were trying to hunt for an excuse of like, maybe I can drop one day, or like maybe I'll start with the warm, or like, is this really that important? It's amazing. That's why I like relatively straightforward challenges like this, because you get to start seeing how sneaky maybe the small self is, or the part of you that just wants to be comfortable all the time is. And man, that's still very present with me. um yeah, I think the other thing is noticing how helpful it was. Two things, with the breath were really helpful for me, particularly on those days uh where I was going into them without like some movement or anything before. The really quick like breath of fire, like just going in as I was standing in the bathroom, like was fantastic. Both to actually just get me in a state of like, okay, we're about to do this, like I'm not fucking backing down right now. But also like you can feel a little bit of the heat come in your body. So that, I'm gonna give a +1 to that. And man, just really doing like long, slow, controlled breathing rounds when you're actually in there is significantly helpful. I think I think the main reason for it is it basically just shifts my attention from holy fuck it's cold to breathing. And yeah, it's still cold, but it's actually almost like secondary on your awareness or what you're paying attention to. And so yeah, if anyone is as we all go along, like that can be a really, really helpful, or it has been very helpful for me. Um, I mean, I don't think I'm going to put everyone on the spot with this. I think if you have something you'd like to share with the group, or anything you want to talk through, like raise your hand. One kind of offering, or one kind of invitation I'll give is, Bailey, if you care to share anything of what we spoke about at the beginning, between the difference of like fully cold showers versus like going from warm to hot, I think that it's really helpful to share out if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, I just I always like starting with hot water. It's been like a major struggle for me to like, well, I guess it's not a struggle, I've just hated it and I've been doing it anyway. But yeah, just starting with the cold and going all the way through. It's definitely significantly more powerful.
Is there anything that got you willing to do it beyond just the kind of nature of the month?
Just being a part of a community that is trying to do it with me, like it was kind of a nice push to feel like I was a part of something, I guess.
Totally, totally. I love it. Yeah, yeah, it's almost hard to understate the difference between going straight into cold, or like standing there if the shower's not even on, and just like turning it on. It's like, oh God, versus yeah, having the few minutes of warmth in the beginning. It shifts the experience dramatically. Um, yeah, curious if anyone else has any stuff they want to jump into specifically around the cold stuff, or how it's been.
I have not yet tried going directly into the cold. Every time I like go to take a shower this week, I go to reach to turn the water on and I'm like, should I start cold? And I'm like, I can't do it. But I think No, I am going to do it tomorrow.
Dang, okay. I like the catch on that from the I know to I am. That was a good one. Yeah, we'll be interested to hear an update on that, maybe in Telegram. Yeah, there you go, Bailey. Pair it with the full moon. Damn.
Perfect. I have been using colder water though than usual. And it's like, it's not all the way cold, but it's cold enough that it like hurts my ears. It almost gives me a little bit of not a headache, but like my scalp like tightens. Like it's definitely been uncomfortable. Just make like just a fraction of a turn a little bit more cold. It's a big difference.
And I think Sarah spoke to this a little bit as well, but if you've ever gone and done like ice baths with anyone, this is something common that comes up. Your hands and your head are like way more sensitive than almost anywhere else. So even if you wanted to do like a almost progression, yeah, avoiding like face and head can help a lot. Like if you just did kind of body stuff, can help get accustomed to that a lot quicker. Because yeah, particularly with your head, go straight into a like animal shock response. You're like, oh God, I can't do this for much. Yeah, doing kind of body first can certainly help. We got Laura too.
I also have like the water system in our house is like all connected with the landlords upstairs, and so when they're using the water, like my shower will suddenly turn cold, and so I like literally don't have control over that. So I have been practicing when that happens, instead of like jumping like out of the way by surprise cold water, to just be like, yep. And just stay in it. So the reaction part of that, also making progress.
I love that, the involuntary cold shower, just having it thrust upon you. There you go. There you go. Laura, really nice to see you. Welcome, welcome.
No, thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, another invitation. Anyone have anything to share around cold?
So I have done 3 in a row now. It's been a battle to do it at all. I do still go from warm to cold because I just can't face it just yet. But the ratio is getting longer for the cold showers. I do have to, when I switch to cold, I do kind of have to start like slowly from my legs and then my arms. I can't do everything at once because I nearly killed myself. Like the shock of it was just too much. So I nearly slipped in the shower. And I don't think I'm not gonna be able, like, you know, people are washing their, like going under full, like with their heads and everything. I can't do that. Since I was a child, I refuse to wash my hair in the shower. I just can't do it. Like I have to step out of the shower, like, you know, bend over and do it that way. So, I mean, that's going to be easier for me. So it's just going to be body only. But I'm still kind of fighting with the notion that, because I want to try to be in the cold shower for as long as possible, but I really don't like the fact that I'm kind of wasting water. So I'm trying to fight, like trying to come to terms with that, how I do that. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about it, but I'm not too keen on that aspect of it, because, you know, I want to make them longer and longer. And normally, as I said before, my showers are super quick. It's like the military ones. Just you go in, go out, like 5 minutes. That's what what my parents instilled in me, because they were just really tight people. They just didn't want to spend money anyway. Which, and it's great, saves the bills, but it's something that I'm aware of when I'm standing in the shower as well. And I do think that because I've been struggling with meditation and all of that, like, to be in the present or in the moment, this is kind of helping, because I am very much focused on my body and what's going on and just trying to breathe through it. So it's like my speeded up extra like 10-second meditation for the day. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do full cold shower, but still got 3 weeks to go.
Yeah, there are a lot of good things here. First things first, one thing I've seen people do as well, particularly if it's mostly around the kind of getting comfortable with discomfort, the kind of meditation thing you spoke through. One thing you can do is actually get like a kind of like a mixing bowl and actually just fill it with ice water. And you can do like seeing how long you can keep your hand in. If you get fairly bold, you can actually do like face plunges, like actually just put your face in the bowl, because that will accomplish a lot of the same. I mean, it will definitely bring about the same level of resistance and discomfort. I mean, it's not easy. Yeah, and I think I think we'll go into this in a bit of the discussion later. Like there is definitely there are some like real tangible physiological benefits to cold exposure, like just for your body. But I mean, in the context of this kind of challenge in this month, it's largely themed just around doing things that make you uncomfortable. So even like, yeah, even just building up to 30 seconds, a minute in the cold is honestly more than enough, particularly if you're starting from at or close to zero, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be time dependent. It's really just, it's basically just a tool to see, yeah, how you react and how you respond and how you approach things that are largely fairly uncomfortable at the beginning. Seeing what your mind does, seeing if you get in your own way, seeing how you make things harder. Yeah. But also, I think your last point is also true, right? Still 3 weeks to go, and we'll see where we get to from there. Yeah, maybe a final question on the cold stuff specifically, which is there anything anyone wants support with, like questions, concerns, tips, tricks? All right, feeling pretty good on that one.
Is there anything in particular we're supposed to be doing these days? Like what was discussed last week?
Yeah, this month for those who choose to accept the challenge is basically cold exposure, cold immersion. The I think the kind of baseline we left it at last week was building up, if you haven't, to about a 2 to 3 minute cold shower and really just seeing what that process is like. Again, not something that you have to start with immediately, but for some it will be finishing a regular shower with cold water. For some it will be going from doing a completely cold shower, right, instead of just starting with hot water. For some it will be breathing and staying composed in it. But yeah, this month is largely focused around getting comfortable with cold, seeing what comes up there and how you relate to that.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I wasn't sure like if it was solely about just like being in cold water. I know you said it's about like going into resistance and into places where you're not, you know, fully comfortable. And I think I had a lot of, well, it's not even like resistance, but I feel like it would have been really like triggering for me to be here last week because um like the past couple weeks I've been staying with these two dogs while the owner's been out of town, and um he basically got stuck abroad, um like he's like stuck on this military base in Germany because he got COVID. And so I had to care for the dogs a third weekend. And like one of them is really old and he's been like increasingly getting like he needs a lot of help, having a lot of falls and stuff. And I went over on Friday and um basically within a half an hour after I got there, he started like violently seizing and like all of this stuff started happening, and it was like an all night effort, and he died in my arms, and I literally felt his body go cold. So I was like, I don't know if I've been immersed in the cold enough for one weekend, and I fucking couldn't do it, you know. It was too fresh. And like, you know, it's like you hold space on that level to where like you hold their heart till it stops beating, you hold their body till it goes cold, and it's like I'm not ready for that. So I think I need to ease in. So I'm going to start with the warm showers and then go cold, because cold is just like something that's jarring for me in a whole different way right now. So I'm yeah, just going to take it easy. Sorry. But that's what's alive for me right now.
Yeah, no apologies needed. That's an intense experience. Yeah. Any way we can support?
I don't know. It's just been a rough week, and I'm like literally sick right now, and I haven't been able to get back to like anyone. And I'm trying to like grant myself grace with that and like just give myself the time that I need, because you know, time is like the most precious commodity that we have. And it's like, you know, I'm just being like painfully reminded of that. So yeah, I think I just need to give myself time. So sorry.
Yeah.
I just like
Yeah,
don't want to take things to that level. It's like I don't want to jump in. You're just starting this new theme and it's like exciting. Then it's just like boom, like this is what I'm being hit with. And it's like I don't want to change the narrative or the energy of the call, because that's what's real for me right now. Like a whole different kind of cold, you know?
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and it's amazing how had similar themes like that, where even in the midst of something very intense, there's still parts of me that are being hard on myself and like, God, I still can't message people back. It's like that is just not, it's just not the important thing right now. But it's
yeah,
not easy to like yeah, kind of let go of that momentarily.
right. It's like, you know, I'm going into the roar in the realest way possible. I'm immersing myself in the cold in like the realest way possible. It's like you're doing enough. Like, don't give yourself a hard time. And yet I'm still giving myself a hard time because I can't do more. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
step back. Your body's literally telling you to step back. I'm like nursing 2 sprained ankles right now. And like, there's just everything about my body is just telling me, slow the fuck down. Do nothing. Do nothing. Everyone will be there for you on the other side. So that's just where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and I think it's worth a recognition that people will be here for you in the moment as well, not just on the other side of it. You know, you
Right.
don't have to
Yeah.
go through that by yourself.
I've been trying
Yeah.
not to, but I think it's just hard also because it's like you want the support, but it's like it's hard to talk about it because you go through the motions again, you know. It's like I keep
Completely.
replaying that in my head, and it's like having to sit in that house for the rest of that weekend with the other dog, just seeing his beds everywhere and like seeing the spot where it happened, and it's just it fucks with you. It fucks with you, and it's just like it's just kind of had a hold on me. It's made it really hard to really attend to much else or even be fully present in conversation. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just wait on conversing because I don't know. And I think that's important to hear, like, that people that you can be held do stuff like that. But I think I just like don't want to overwhelm anyone with like the immensity of what's going on with me. I don't want to weigh anyone else down because it's heavy. It's not like light reading, like, and I'm trying to take it in stride, but it's just heavy, the nature of those things. It takes a while for it to release its hold on you. So yeah, especially if you're there when it happens, like you're in it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's extremely visceral.
It's
Yeah.
so visceral.
Well,
Yeah.
damn, thank you for being here. I'm glad that we can
I'm
at
trying.
least show up in some way here.
Yeah, I haven't been here the past couple weeks because he kept having slips and falls last Sunday, and I had so much cleanup around the house because he just kept falling. And then last weekend he took one last fall, So I just, life happens, and we do the best we can to show up to the best of our ability, and that ability changes by the day. What you're comfortable doing and what you're like willing to be seen in, because it's sticky stuff. So, but thank you for
completely
being willing to let me talk about it.
Yeah, of course, that's what we're here for. It's actually a really nice really nice movement that I wanted to bring up, even just around the nature of this space and these calls. One of the things we've been talking about internally a lot, and one of the things that I've been feeling personally is like I'd like for I think there will always be. I think it's one of the things that actually has brought a lot of, particularly just the broader high existence community together, is this kind of shared affinity for growth and challenges and just confronting ourselves. But one of the things I don't want that to come at the expense of, particularly because I think we've slipped into it a little bit the past few months, is like, I don't want these calls to necessarily become lectures. I think there's a time and a place for like, perhaps you call it like a more educational stance, for sure. But yeah, I'd really like these, particularly under the dojo framing, to become just a space of like, yeah, bring yourself and let's collectively work through it. It's also actually why I wanted to bring the bulk of this this call basically into an open forum, an open discussion. I think we can collectively move our way into something where it's actually just, what is real for you right now? Does it relate? I mean, not does it relate to the theme? Is there a way that we can use the work that we're doing to help with that? But also just really bringing ourselves to the table here and being like, yo, this is where I'm at. This is what I could use help with. I think bringing back the very visceral human element to these calls and to this space is, it's at least something I'm thinking through how we can do a lot more of. So given that, I basically wanted to open the space for, I guess, as long as people want to, as long as we can chew through this, which was the theme inspired, I guess, both by life and both by what I view as the real benefit of cold stuff being positive stress. I shared I shared the two kind of terms for that in the Telegram chat. One is hormesis, which is basically, yeah, a subfatal dose of something stressful that actually makes your body more resilient. And the other one being eustress, which literally means positive stress. Um, I guess my little take on this is like, I think this is something we as a collective have shifted perhaps far too far away from the idea that stress can actually be healthy. Um, but I think that's both a net negative for people, and I also think it's just not fundamentally true. Like the most obvious example, and this is actually where hormesis came from, it was a biological term. It was like there's a dose of a basically a dose of a toxin you can put in the body where it's not negative, but your immune system actually becomes more resilient as a result of dealing with it. In a way, that's actually the entire basis of vaccines, right? A small amount of the actual thing so that your body builds up an increased level of resiliency around it. And so actually, despite being a very acute short-term stress on the body, it actually becomes a long-term net benefit for you. I think there are innumerable, I think there are actually many, many sources of positive stress in the world, and you can actually walk kind of voluntarily towards them. One of one of my favorites being cold showers. It is very acutely short term, perhaps painful at times, but actually both mentally and physically is extremely powerful for you. One of the most accessible and obvious other ones is exercise, weightlifting in particular, right? Literally, the process of building muscle is tearing down muscle and then it builds back stronger and healthier and bigger. Fasting is another one. And again, there's a way both of these, they work both. I think you could actually argue they work physically, mentally, and spiritually as short-term stressors that have long-term benefit. Yeah, fasting is another one. You could call psychedelics. I think psychedelic experiences fit very firmly into that camp. There's a lot of the kind of Amazonian plant medicine pharmacopoeia that fits into that. Very bitter medicine, but very good in the long run. Could even call something like discipline something like this, where it's actually not always too much fun to just bring yourself to the same thing day in, day out, but actually be uh, long-term take of that is really helpful. I think that's enough of a little starting point on my end. So I have a few questions, but then largely we'll just see if anyone wants to keep chiming in and see where we get with this. But I want to open the floor to, I guess, perhaps a two-part question. One is, what are some other examples of positive stress? And these can be the same or different answers, but what are some of the ones that you have landed on personally that are the most powerful for you? And yeah, Bailey, jumping right in. Start us off, dude.
Um, the two that like really just pop into my head that I started about a year ago, right around the time when I first found the Wim Hof documentary that I watched, were starting to walk barefoot and starting to sleep on the floor. I had a lot of like really bad lower back pain and a lot of foot pain and neck pain from standing all the time in my job, wearing heeled shoes and stuff that like weren't flat to the ground. And I started walking everywhere barefoot and sleeping on the floor, and all my pain just went away. and like it's slightly uncomfortable for the first like couple. Well, it's still a little uncomfortable depending on where I'm stepping, but it's getting better every day, and I wish I'd started sooner. I feel great about it.
Yeah, I'm okay. Sleeping on the floor is straight 0 to 100. That's amazing. That's amazing. Holy crap.
Final
How,
fortune.
was that a recommendation, or did you just decide to do that? Like, were you talking to someone about how to deal with the pain, or that just?
I was reading articles like just like hitting the random button on high existence for like a couple months, and I just there was a whole bunch of different little things that I went off on my own little research tangents on, and I kind of landed on fasting, sleeping on the floor, and walking barefoot, and cold showers.
Damn, that is quite the stack. That is quite the stack. Yeah, yeah. I mean, barefoot's another fantastic example. Shoes are, particularly depending on the padding in your shoes, right? Your feet get super weak. Making that transition fairly difficult, can actually be fairly painful, but again, strength building down the long term. Yeah, we actually had an interesting experience. I mean, I have not done a whole lot of sleeping on the floor, but we went out camping a few weeks ago and literally just brought like a single yoga mat, and that was like the padding. And yeah, that was again a very very humbling experience for the first 2 nights of that. But actually, like come the third and fourth days, was waking up and was like, all right, I feel like, I'm not going to say I felt absolutely fantastic, but actually I was waking up in a state that was largely similar to any other day that I would wake up, and just that difference was like, damn, I can feel just as good, and I'm literally here. I didn't have a pillow, I just had a yoga mat, and it was like, wow, okay, that was that was very confronting. um yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
curious if anyone else. Oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
I just like that just gave me another thought to add. Sorry. I just the what I came to when learning of like wanting to sleep on the floor, it's that your body is like meant to move in your sleep and it's meant to breathe. Whereas when you're sleeping on a mattress, you're kind of like casting yourself in one position. So then you wake up like stiff. But when you're on firm ground, you're able to like move around and breathe. Anyway, somebody.
Yeah, I love it. I I followed a guy for a bit, Kelly Starrett. He is a really nice he's a really sick book on movement called Becoming a Supple Leopard. The idea being that like a leopard or a big cat does not need to do 17 rounds of stretching to go. They just wake up and they can immediately go 0 to 100. Uh, yeah, and I think he actually had a recommendation. He was basically, particularly for betting, like go to either extreme, either sleep on something that is basically like wood, like extremely hard, or like the absolute softest thing you can find so that it actually uh might avoid some of the casting. Yeah, really interesting. Um yeah, yeah. Anyone else got favorite examples or go to demonstrations of short-term stress, long-term benefit? Because I don't think we exhausted that list so far.
This is just something that comes off the top of my head when you said that about positive stress. And I thought of, I know some of you guys have discussed it in the past, but like Parkinson's law and about how like setting a deadline will like force you to get something done sooner. So like deadlines, I guess, is what comes up for me, just like having a set time within which you have to do something. So it forces you to get it done. Whereas otherwise you'd like procrastinate to the nth degree, maybe on doing something. So sometimes like having time parameters is a good source of stress because it forces us to like take action and activate, whereas otherwise we might be more sedentary or slow to get going or slow to get working on certain things.
Yeah, wild. So I googled eustress like right before this call, just Here was a crazy one that I found around flow. I mean, I think most people have a working idea of what flow is, but it's basically the intersection of when your skill level meets the amount of challenge in front of you. And it actually had this take on procrastination, which I loved and I had never heard before, which is active procrastination. So like, I guess choosing to delay when you're going to do the thing. And I think actually deadlines you could almost take that as the opposite, which is like choosing to accelerate when you have to get it done, is actually positively related to flow. By delaying work, you're basically increasing the challenge. And so you're actually just like building it up for yourself, like, oh, okay, I still got the same amount to do, but now I have a shorter amount of time to do it. And it actually builds up the perceived challenge for you. And then you could even take that to something like responding to emails. Like, I got to respond to all of these in 10 minutes, like go. And even something that is potentially mundane at times can actually become flow inducing, at least in
like makes
relation
it
to that
exciting
article.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the deadline take. That's really good. Also feel slightly personally attacked by that one because I could be fairly well served by deadlines and certainly have. I think actually that's why some people really enjoy the time they spend in university, because it's like, yo, I got to do this. Like you're actually like outputting at a really high amount fairly continuously, because there's both an extreme challenge and there's definitely a perception of what would you call it? I don't want to say risk, but like not doing it has fairly serious consequences if you actually want to complete your school. Yeah, deadlines are awesome. All right, I was not expecting that one.
I am not someone that does this, but like waking up really early, if I did do it, would definitely be stressful.
No, I feel that one.
Or even just staying up all night, like just being awake when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, there's actually I mean, and again, a lot of these ideas aren't overly new. Like this goes all the way back to ancient Greece. I know there was a writer called Seneca, and he had this, I guess he basically wrote it as a kind of challenge. I don't know what he called it, but his case was like, yeah, every so often, this is actually funny because it was previewed by Bailey, but like he was like, every so often you should try to spend 2 or 3 days doing nothing other than eating like plain rice and sleeping on the ground, just so you could actually like almost prove to yourself that something like being in poverty wouldn't be that bad for you, or that it's not, maybe at least it's not fatal. Like you can actually get through it. And there is something of just demonstrating to yourself that you could do it, even if you don't make it like a dedicated part of your life. Just that like knowledge of the embodied knowledge of like, oh yeah, like not, maybe I don't want to do it all the time, but the fact that you know that you can do it is really big. And again, it's one of the reasons I think cold showers can be such a nice kind of almost a metaphor, where it's like, yeah, if at the end of this month you never take a cold shower again, cool. But the fact you know that you can actually stand there and do it and not die is powerful. Teaching yourself that you can do hard shit is a fairly nice thing to build into your life. Or again, I mean, that's why I think so many of these practices are helpful. Like same thing with fasting. I found fasting a really powerful practice, because it's like, damn, if you can get over the hunger pang, like a very, very base human kind of instinct and experience, like, okay, you can probably do anything that you need to do at work if you can get over hunger. Because yeah, there's not much more fundamental to humanity than hunger and sleep. Crazy. Chloe, I know you got at least one.
Yeah, I have several. Bye, Sarah. Good to hear you. Yeah, I have several. I think positive stress is one of my favorite things. I just never really had like a term for it or understanding of it. It's just something like I naturally enjoyed. I definitely like the physical ones, running like long distances, yoga, but like pushing myself to the extreme, fasting also. Like I grew up fasting 1 day a month for like my entire life, just because it was part of like the religion my family belonged to. And now I think I have a much larger appreciation for that. Just, yeah, like you just said, just your most basic need and being like, yeah, actually it's not such an immediate need as you think it is, right? Like, no, your body's okay without food for some time. Like you don't have to eat every few hours. It's okay. And like, yeah, it's a big part of just proving to yourself what you're capable of. And yeah, proving to yourself that like the way we think we have to live, or all of the necessities that we think we need to take care of ourselves, or to like almost coddle ourselves, really. It's like, yeah, actually you're okay without like a bed. Like you're okay without food for some time. Like you're okay without hot water. Like you can survive, you can do these things. Like it's a proof of our human resilience that everyone has, right? I like feeling it for myself because that's awesome and I'm me, but just kind of feeling that collectiveness of like, yeah, we are human, we are resilient, we don't need all of the comforts and commodities that we have all the time. And that taking whatever form it takes, right? Those breaks, like whatever extreme that looks like, is just such a valuable reminder of like, yeah, like I am human. I can do this. I don't need all the things society tells me I need. Like I don't need to be comfortable all the time. In fact, if I am, I'm probably less resilient. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, going out into nature and camping, and you carry in everything you have and you prepare your food, and you can't just go buy it immediately. All of those experiences are super powerful, just as a reminder of what you're actually capable of, and what are our actual necessities. Like what do we actually need in order to live and be happy? And the answer is like, yeah, a whole lot less than we think. Another one that actually I thought of while Laura was speaking, so it's like, oh yeah, these aren't just physical, was I think this was really this was a big thing for me probably about a decade ago or more. I used to be like excruciatingly shy, like excruciatingly. And I put myself in a long-term situation where I was forced to speak to people I didn't know on a daily basis. And that was at first very negative stress, but then became very positive stress. Just like, holy shit, like I have to talk to someone, I don't even know their name. Like, no, like alien mode, like I can't do that. But that definitely turned into a positive stress experience of like, yeah, like you can do this, it's okay. And so I guess that brings it back to the proving to yourself, like, A, I'm capable of this, B, I'm resilient, and C, I can push my limits. Like I can become stronger and become capable of things I didn't think I was before. And like that's the only way to do it, right? Is like pushing the limits, removing things that make you feel good or comfortable or safe. Like you have to go into the danger zone a little bit. Not even like leaving the comfort zone, but like going into the danger zone of like, oh shit, like, can I do this? To really find that resilience and strength. So yeah, there's so many ways, but I think there's definitely something very very real about the physical ones, and just being like, yeah, like I'm an animal, like I can do these things. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and one of the biggest shifts for me I think both Chloe and Bailey have spoken of this fairly well, which was an actual recognition in me is I actually started feeling better with a lot of these things. Like, yes, yes, you can take the framing of, okay, I'm just going to see if I can do this and actually sleep on the ground for a day or two. But actually, you might even find like, I actually feel fucking better than I do normally. And it actually doesn't become like the isolated thing, it becomes the norm. Um, and I mean, at the risk of painting everything with a bad brush, which is not my intention, but yeah, I think there is a I think you can find many things where perhaps less of a short-term gain comes at the benefit of a much longer term benefit. And I think the opposite is also true, right? What are like one of my favorite examples has become kind of indigenous medicine versus traditional medicine. Like if you have because many like indigenous or Amazonian medicines suck. They absolutely suck. Like before we were recording, we were talking about the thing we did last night, which was this snuff powder and the eye drops, and they are extremely difficult to do like in the moment. They are very confronting, but afterwards you actually feel exceptional. I mean, coming from a lot of what I like and the work that I do, I mean, I'd be remiss to shout out the psychedelic experience here. Like sitting with yourself for several hours potentially is an extremely difficult thing. Like sometimes it's very confronting and very challenging, but actually the long-term like difference in quality of life, relationship to myself, relationship to people at this point has become like a no-brainer. Um, I think one of my favorite examples is something like when you have a fever, right? A fever is basically like a healing mechanism of your body. Like you increase your core temperature to burn off whatever the bullshit is. But if you take like Tylenol or Advil and actually stop that process in its tracks, like you're actually interrupting a healing process there. And yeah, so like there's kind of there can be two parts or two different benefits. Yeah, one is the isolated acute experience of like, oh, I can't do this and I'm stronger than I thought. But the other one that is always waiting or like lurking in the corners, like you might actually find that your life is significantly better. And it's also fine if you try it and you're like, fuck that, I'm never doing it again. Right. It's not to make you just suffer for the sake of suffering, but man, you should at least try it, see how it feels, because it can, I mean, it can shift a whole lot. Like, yeah, it's one of the reasons I've never backed away from cold showers, because actually just seeing like, yeah, energy levels and mental state and yeah, willingness to go do other hard shit. I was like, fuck, if all I have to do is stand in the cold in the morning, like I'll do that. That's a price of admission I'm willing to pay because the other side of my life got um, found a lot of benefit in it afterwards. Yeah, this will actually be great as well for next month because yeah, Chloe, you spoke to that super well. Like one of the one of the other ones that is incredible is you can do these challenges socially, right? If you have trouble talking to people or if you don't think you're comfortable like talking online, like yo, do it for 30 days. Do it for one fucking day. Like go record a video, go look in a camera, go introduce yourself to 5 people at 5 different coffee shops. And my God, yeah, just like getting in a cold shower, there's a part of you. Certainly for me, I don't think I'm overly extroverted. I think I've become more comfortable in spaces like this because I've put myself in them a lot. But yeah, there's a huge. It's actually harder for me to go introduce myself to someone than it is to go stand in cold water. Like it's actually kind of weird, but yeah, you can create these acute stressful experiences of like I'm just gonna go fucking do this. And actually, again, it's like mere exposure. By the time you've done it 10 times, no matter, almost regardless of how well or poorly they go, you're like, oh, right, this isn't actually that bad. It was mostly a story I had in my head, or just a level of resistance I had to it, that it, yeah, it really becomes a lot easier over time. So I wanted to weave in, another kind of two-part question, which is, how could you in your life right now invite more positive stress? And is there any area of your life that you think could benefit from something like this a lot more? Like, is there still an area in your life where you're super resistant, or just completely avoiding taking action on, that you could create a kind of, yeah, acute stressful experience with the potential of coming out the other side a lot more comfortable with it?
So I feel like everything that we're talking about, whether it's, you know, the deadlines or exercise or fasting, I've been I've been successfully avoiding it for the past 2 years. And I'm even, you know, I'm working with a coach and have been for the past year. And it's something that we haven't cracked yet. So I feel like right now the question, like, you know, how can you invite more positive stress? And I was like, I don't think I can. Like, it's just not working right now. I've been tried to look at it from all the different angles, all the different possibilities, and I don't know what the source of the resistance is, but it's not working. Like, I would love to do some more regular exercise. Can't do it. Or as in, like, I can, of course I can, physically I can, but the resistance is too strong. The force is too strong. But maybe the cold showers will break it.
Yeah, we'll see. One of the things I want to flag here really quickly as well is, like, I would strongly invite everyone, like, you do not have to wait to speak. If you have a comment you want to make on anyone else's comment, like, please just chime in, because I think we'll get to some juicy stuff here, because Laura had a very similar comment as well. Right, there are things in life that yeah, almost always take the back burner, or always like kind of left as the neglected project that just doesn't crack through. And I mean, I feel the same way. Yeah, I have a newsletter I've been writing on the side, and I haven't written in, I think I've written one piece this entire year, and I wanted to be writing like weekly. And man, that has been extremely annoying. It's been extremely confronting as well. So yeah, there's definitely a similar pattern. I mean, your specific example might look a little different, whether it's exercise, whether it's work related, whether it's hobby and passion stuff, but there is always this theme of, like, God, there is a barrier somewhere there that I haven't quite cracked yet. But yeah, curious if anyone else has anything they want to chime in on around what is being actively resistant, or are there any examples of the positive stress we've spoken to already that you're like, actually, yeah, I might give that a go.
In response to Yana, I was kind of dealing with the same thing, the like really strong resistance to working out regularly, and I just felt like I physically couldn't bring myself to do it. And I've only found like one kind of gym that has changed that for me. And a large part of it has actually been the financial aspect. So it is probably the most expensive gym membership in the entire city. And they also make you sign up for the classes ahead of time. And you have an 8-hour cancellation window. So, like the day of the class, if you don't cancel within 8 hours, they'll charge you more money. And so I don't know about like the specific gym as far as like where you are, but I know that there are apps and stuff where you can bet money on completing like certain fitness goals. And I feel like just adding that financial accountability was really like the push that I needed to just do it. And it also helps that it's like fully coached, so I just show up and I don't think about it at all.
Is that Orange Theory or something like
Yes.
that? Yeah, I did that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a big like kick in the butt. Like if I don't go, I'm gonna be charged. And
Yeah.
that's a big one for me. And also it's like it's the group accountability. It's like you can let yourself down, but if you're in a group, it's like you can't let them down as readily. So it like kind of incentivizes you to like go full out and to finish strong. So yeah.
Yeah, there's something here as well of like it's it's funny because I'm basically going to talk to the difference between the carrot and the stick, right? You can either give yourself a reward or you can give yourself a punishment. And actually, yeah, the financial one is definitely I think one that works for many. There's also an app called Stick. I believe they are still in existence. I think it's STICKK, where you basically like delegate a friend or an oracle or someone where you put money on the line, and it's like, look, if I don't send this to you by the end of the weekend, like I think the way they've done it is you select a charity that you would absolutely hate to donate to, like Donald Trump's presidential campaign or some shit like that. And it's like, look, if I do not do this, send my fucking money to Donald Trump. Or again, I think you can select specifically what it is, but yeah, the financial one, the social accountability one is big. I've also seen people do like public shame, where like you could send a friend or a trusted party like a really embarrassing photo of yourself or something, and it's like, look, if I don't fucking do this, put this shit on every social account and just like say like this is going up because I didn't do it. And it's funny because yesterday at this event, one of our other friends was there, and he had just done a meditation retreat at a center here. And I asked him kind of jokingly, I was like, did they whack you to stay awake? Because he went to a Zen Buddhist retreat. And he was like, well, you could ask them to. I didn't actually realize you could like opt in to get the stick if you wanted to. But I just found that hilarious, where it was like, yeah, they were like, yeah, if you think you're gonna get sleepy or if you think you're like overly jittery, you could ask them to kind of just whack you. And so yeah, like you can check in with yourself. Like sometimes the stick actually just helps. But it's almost in a roundabout way, it's almost like a positive stress because you're voluntarily choosing to go and do it. You're like choosing a kind of punishment or choosing a kind of consequence for a lack of action, but still viable ways. And it's almost a level of honesty with yourself. Like, look, I'm just not gonna do this unless I have something on the line. But for a lot of like personal projects, like whether it's the kind of hobby, whether it's the side project you want to build, whether it's your own health, it's like society will never give you that stick. You kind of have to build in your own consequences to it. And yeah, just finding ways to kind of make there be consequences can be a just as viable of a stress that pushes you in a good direction. Totally.
Yeah, in a way, it's like an act of self-discipline. It really is, because it's forcing you to like be good to yourself and to do the thing, or to have something in place if you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like my personal example on exercise, because I mean I don't know, I don't necessarily like the gym, not a huge fan of it. Takes a lot of time. Some of those might all just be excuses, but I was like, okay, look, I know I want to like do some level of movement strength stuff. I don't really want to go to the gym. So my the thing I landed on when I had a longer home term base was I bought this really cool kettlebell. It had like a monkey face on it. I just found it like I found it super beautiful. I found it super playful. It could literally sit like right beside my desk. So instead of like, you know, the hour and a half of like traveling to the gym, doing the gym, driving back home, I would just like do some work and then just fuck around with that thing afterwards. Um, and it was like the one of the first dominoes that made like movement and exercise like a dedicated part of my life. But it came, I mean, it cost a lot. Getting something heavy shipped across the country was not cheap, but it did it. And I think, yeah, there's an element of just, yeah, almost being honest with yourself, like, look, gym is not going to fucking work for me, man. I need to find something else. And then just starting to find that stuff. And yeah, whether it's the kind of looming threat of consequence or something that's a little more playful and fun for your own personality, like whatever works for you at the end of the day is like the only answer that matters.
Yeah, I have a comment to that. And to go off with that with two things I was thinking about a lot, because I mean I'm not a perfect example at all either. Of course, like I have shit that I put off, but like the things that I've been most successful with, like I don't know, long distance running, yoga, fasting, things like that. A couple of things that have helped me the most. Well, the first one I think is it absolutely has to come from a place of like love. Like you're acting out of love because you care. It's not a should, it's not a supposed to, it's not a I said I would do this and I haven't, and now I feel guilty because it's been on my back burner for so long. Like if that's the only fucking reason, like just drop it. Just be like, nope, it's not important. Maybe I'll revisit it in like 2 years, but just like drop it, because it's not serving you to sit on your back burner and just make you feel guilty in the back of your head all the time. That's something I figured out, was like, why is this even on my back burner? Like I'm not inspired by it anymore. I don't love it anymore. And it's just this like little guilt in the back of my head. Like, nah, fuck that, I'm done. So if you don't love it enough to just do it, just like drop it. Like just drop it. Maybe the gym's not that important, you know, maybe that side project's not that important to you. Like giving yourself kind of an ultimatum, like either I love it enough to do it 100%, or I don't love it enough and I shouldn't even be considering it, or like wasting energy thinking about it and like having it there. Just it's one or the other, because otherwise the middle ground is just this nasty like self-flagellation of like, I'm not getting the shit done. Like just fucking drop it if you don't love it enough to do it. And then the second one is, if you do love it enough to do it, which hopefully of course is the answer, right? Like hopefully it's important and you love it and you love yourself enough, you want to do that for yourself. Kind of like what Evie said, like make it fun, like find a way, like find something, whether it's like a symbol, an object, a place, like find something that makes it like yours and that makes you look forward to doing it. Like I bought myself the best, most expensive running shoes I could back when I was running. So it's like, oh, I'm happy every time I put these on my feet. Like they make me happy. They're pretty, you know? I got a nice bright orange yoga mat because now when I look at it, I'm excited to sit on it and like do yoga. Like Jesse said, even like go to the most expensive gym so that you're pumped to go there. Like make it so that it's not work. It's not like, oh, I have to do this. Like give yourself something to look forward to, right? Buy a kettlebell with a monkey face on it. Like, yeah, make it so that when it's a thing you have to do and it's important enough, you're looking forward to it. And it's like, well, it's hard, but at least I get to like look at this nice thing. And I know those are all like kind of visual, but like, I don't know, music with it, like whatever it is, like find something, find some way to make it beautiful for yourself. Does that make sense? that has been a big one, which it sounds like buy cool leggings that make you happy. Like, I don't know, like find something symbolic and beautiful and personal so that it's now your thing. You're not completing something that you just feel like you should do. You're doing it because you love it. You're doing it from a place of love, not from a place of I should or I'm supposed to. And yeah, you're actually looking forward to it, right? Like surround yourself with beautiful things. That's huge. And that applies to, I think, this just as much as any other aspect of life.
I love that, Chloe. It's like let your pile of good things grow, you know, so then you have more to look forward to. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel both inspired and personally attacked at the same time after that. What the fuck?
Same.
Yeah.
Me
Damn.
too. I just attacked myself, but
Yeah, one of the I mean, I used to say this to people a few years ago, almost on the, like, you can almost take that example straight to like the life level. Like if you took like your average emotional state out of 10, like, oh, today was a 7 out of 10, today was a 9 out of 10, today was a 2 out of 10. One of the biggest traps I think people fall in is like staying at like a 2 to a 4 out of 10 for a long fucking time, because they're, I don't know, they have a story, they're worried of what other people see, of just fucking drop everything, man. Just go straight to zero. Just like quit your fucking job, live on your friend's fucking couch, like eat beans and ramen for like a month. There's a huge amount of resistance to that, but one of the best one of my favorite lines I've heard almost ever is rock bottom is a very sturdy foundation. And like that is so good, because like you could spend, humans are, I mean, we've discussed this, humans are extremely resilient. You could stay at a 2 to a 4 out of 10 for decades. I mean, you might not want to, but you certainly could, versus, you know, maybe you take a few weeks and just completely drop to zero, like just straight up drop everything. But you could build that back up to a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 in weeks, in months, versus just wallowing in, yeah, particularly the kind of self-blame of like, oh, I haven't done this in so long, and oh, blah blah blah, look, I can't do anything, oh my god, like poor me. Like, yeah, there is something of like, yeah, you could drop it. Like, you're not obligated to do it. And actually, from that really sturdy foundation of zero, you can build a lot of momentum really quickly, because anything is an improvement beyond zero. Yeah, that's super important. Yeah, the group, or not the group thing, but like making it fun. Like, even just, you could bet your friends $1 every time you go play a game with them. Like, yo, this soccer match has $1. Everyone needs to pay $1. You might actually get $5 out of playing soccer or something like that. Yeah, all of those are really good.
I have actually been doing intermittent fasting for the past week. So I stop eating at 8 p.m. and start eating at 12. And so if anyone has any tips about how to get the most out of that, I'd appreciate it.
Like I just, for a tip maybe to help get through it, I guess, is I found that a lot of it, for me at least, was a lot of a mental game. Whereas when I learned kind of what hunger pains were, I was able to kind of subdue them myself a little bit more easily. And it's just essentially what I learned is them being is your body producing the chemicals it needs to digest food that it's expecting you to eat. So it's trying to get ready for you to eat. But if you can find a way to consciously tell your body you're not going to eat, then it won't produce those chemicals and it'll just kind of settle. It's something that kind of helped me learning that.
Yeah. Another one I have is just like keeping yourself busy, because it sucks to be hungry and just be sitting around your house like twiddling your thumbs like, oh fuck, like how many hours till I can eat? So like, I don't know, just like if you're a scheduler, which I believe you are, Jesse, like yeah, just schedule your day with like a bunch of activities and shit to do to stay busy. Just make the hours pass. And then, I mean, two things. One, time goes faster. Two, you're actually like, yeah, being productive. And three, like you're not actively thinking about it, like trying to occupy. And like Bailey said, it's really a mental thing more than a physical thing. So like trying to both quiet your mind, but also busy your mind with other things. So you're not focused on, oh, I'm fasting. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, how many hours? Like all of those thoughts are what make it worse. Easier said than done, but like, yeah, just trying to, distraction, like healthy distraction, right? Just like keep yourself busy and focus on other positive, fulfilling things.
Yeah, drink a shit ton of water.
I like
Sometimes
tea.
hunger.
I have been drinking more water, I've noticed, which is a benefit.
Yeah.
A thing I was watching, a YouTube channel, is talking about how water is like, especially for me, I found everybody like kind of absorbs water differently, but for me, I found that water kind of just went through me and I wasn't actually absorbing it very well. So I found a lot of tips of like talking about how you should have teas and infused waters and stuff. But if you're fasting, obviously you're not putting sugar or any like milk or anything in there. Just black tea. But not.
Yeah, I've also heard it's good to put like a pinch of salt in your water to help your body absorb it.
I haven't really done this, but yeah, back with like the tea thing, even like, I think again, this goes back to my idea of like make it fun or beautiful or something. Like give yourself like a special tea or drink that you only drink when you're fasting. Like make it, you know what I mean? Like make it fun, make it exciting. Like, oh, this is my super fancy, maybe expensive, like special fasting only beverage, you know?
I
Yeah.
like that. I'm gonna try that.
Why not? It's like, again, it's making it something that you look forward to instead of like dreading or like, oh, like this is gonna suck. It's like, oh yeah, but I have a drink.
Yeah, and interestingly, we're also landing on there's a very similar thread here, somewhere around the ritual integration thing as well. Like really how to keep showing up for something and how to make it exciting. Like two examples, I think I have two really tangible examples from my life. I mean, there were two things that happened in my life around the same time, which was I tried to get rid of basically all of my shit and travel more. So I was still living out of a very small bag. The two problems I had were two things that I really wanted to be dedicated parts of my life were yoga and a tea practice. And it was like, well, fuck, like, what am I supposed to do? So I actually dropped, I mean, I guess comparatively for what yoga mats cost, like I dropped a bunch of money on a really, really thin mat that I could actually fold into squares so that it could fit into my bag. And the other, at the risk of spilling this stuff, like I actually found a very tiny, like little teapot and cup thing so that it can travel with me instead of like, oh yeah, I got to leave my whole fucking pot at home. Like, what am I going to do now? It looks like I can't do it. Like, yeah, there's almost always a way to find playful, beautiful, and accessible middle ground for whatever the heck you actually want to do. So I'm tracking time, and I want to get us fairly good at honoring time, because once Circle is up and running, I plan on dropping a bunch more events regularly. Maybe we can do a round of just like, I guess, two things. How are you? What's the next week gonna look like? And yeah, if you have any comment on just what this kind of style of session was like today, would love to hear how this stuff landed. I guess I can start. Yeah, I mean, back to basics. I'm gonna keep rolling with the cold shower stuff. It's been fairly good so far, and yeah, excited to keep going with that. I feel really good actually. I feel fairly exciting. Funny enough, given the theme, Chloe and I are 14 hours into a fast right now. Yeah, but felt really excited. And yeah, I actually liked, I mean, even personally, but I would hope, I actually like this style of conversation a lot. The kind of like free flowing support recommendation idea thing, I think is awesome. I learned a lot, shared a lot. So I feel across the board fairly good as we embark on what, week 3 of cold immersion and going into resistance. I guess we'll just popcorn. So I'll popcorn Jay Scott.
There is one more thing I wanted to add about like ritualizing things. Because I had this thought as you were talking about making things more fun. For cold showers, I have music playing like when I'm in the shower. So if you could have like a fun playlist that you only play for cold showers, would be like one way to ritualize it and make it more fun. I'm kind of sore today actually because yesterday I went to Orange Theory started doing lift classes, which is a different format from their regular classes, and it's literally just 45 minutes of weightlifting. So I'm like probably gonna do some stretching after this. And I'm really looking forward. I just booked some time off from work for the beginning of August, and I'm really excited. Visiting Chloe and Eric at cabin in the woods. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, so I'm feeling really awesome, and I'm excited to take my full cold shower tomorrow. And I'm gonna popcorn to Yana.
So for this style of conversation, I think that was one of the questions. I spoke twice, which I think that's success. That hasn't happened before since I've joined the community. So that's a big one. And I do think it's because, you know, the number is much smaller. So for me, it was much easier to actually do that. I find it very difficult in the bigger group setting. So from that perspective, this has been awesome. And how I am up and down. I've started going for interviews, for job interviews. And after 8 months of not working, it's very difficult to go back into like the system, I guess. And unfortunately, I've realized I will have to do some compromising, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm a bit up and down. The work that I would love to do is just in the Czech Republic is not paid well at all, and I would not be able to even cover my expenses. So I need to think about what the compromise looks like, and if I'm willing to do that, if I want to wait, or if it's really time to go back into it. So yeah, I'm kind of neither here nor there right now. And I will popcorn to Laura.
Thank you, Yana. Yeah, I'm kind of piggybacking off of what both you and Jesse said. Like, I'm kind of in this little bit of a limbo space right now. Like, there's a lot
going on in my life that I'm like actively healing from, like physically and also just like mentally, emotionally, just like a lot coming up. And but I'm also in a good place. I have, you know, I have a trip also coming up that I'm looking forward to. And I haven't taken any time off in years. Like I'm always facilitating everyone else's vacations and, you know, house sitting or pet sitting or doing whatever. But I will be returning to my roots. I'm going to Spain in a week and a half, and I haven't been back in 15 years. And we literally booked the flight like a month ago. So it's like a sure thing. And I have family members getting married. So I'm going to a wedding in southern Spain, and I'm like really excited because I haven't seen that whole side of my family since I was like a little girl, like since we've all been adults now. So it's like extremely exciting, but also very, it will be hella healing. Yeah. It's very activating as well because it's like so many of them have like families already, or they're all like engineers or architects, and they're just like have these full-on established careers, and it's just like trying not to measure up or guilt myself because I'm not fully fluent in Spanish or anything like that. But yes, there's like a lot coming up, and I feel like deadlines hanging over my head because there's a lot of preparation for a long-term trip, you know. But yeah, I hope to stay abroad for some time and spend the month of June just kind of hopping around and hopefully visiting friends. So if any of you are in Europe this summer, let me know because I might have the time to pop around and see some people. So yeah, so I'm carving out that me time finally, and that will help me to reorient and kind of take a load off because work has been like full steam ahead this entire year and last year. Like it's just kind of always is. So yeah, so a lot of good stuff to look forward to, but I'm also like trying to give myself some downtime right now while there's a lot going on. So yeah, I enjoy this smaller setting as well, though. I think it makes it easier to kind of speak on things. And yeah, like you said, just for conversation to flow. So yeah, I don't know if I covered all bases there or not, if there's anything else. But I will popcorn to Bailey.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess that I really like these conversational ones too. I'm not normally like I have a history of being very like shy and struggle with speaking, so I like how I've been able to kind of talk more. But yeah, I guess this week for me, I have an offer to go work at a hotel in Jasper Mountains, and I'm supposed to accept it tomorrow. And I've been like kind of having a little bit of resistance with people saying I'm doing this. It's always been I'm thinking about doing it, but I'm accepting the job tomorrow. I think it's like I'm just gonna go. So I'm really excited for that. I'll be leaving probably.
Do you live in Jasper, like in Alberta, in Canada?
Yeah, I'm currently in Edmonton, Alberta, and then I think
That's
yeah, I'm gonna go to Jasper, Alberta.
amazing. I was there a few winters ago. I spent Christmas in Banff, and we almost went to Jasper. That's crazy that you live there.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Banff
I had
is
no
beautiful.
idea.
Jasper's like that, just a little bit smaller, and I kind of want the
Yeah, it's near Lake
more quiet
Louise.
side of things, less touristy.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool to know that. I had no idea you lived over there. That's amazing.
Damn. Have you gone?
I guess popcorn to Chloe. I guess is what I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I think I'm the last one, right? It's kind of rounded up. Cool. Yeah, I echo everyone. Like, I think there's so much value to having like the bigger calls just to like see everyone's face and like, oh damn, there are so many people doing this right now. But when it gets into like having time to actually talk, I find it a lot more both like productive and like time effective to like have these smaller groups. So yeah, even I don't know, even with like big groups, I feel like having the opportunity to have these like small like 4 to 5 to 6 people like sections and just like really getting to like get into it with each other is like just yeah the best. Because yeah, like I think Bailey and Anna said, a lot of people don't really want to speak up in front of a lot of people, and if everyone speaks up it also takes like a lot of time. So doing like a combo of like the big, I feel like the big like giant community sessions, like getting some of the meat in and what we're going to work on, but then having this opportunity to like split off in groups feels super cool. Like, I think this is the first time I've seen Bailey on a call. I'm like, oh yeah, I like totally know who you are, but I get to actually like see you live, like sweet. So having like this kind of, yeah, dynamic is just awesome for like that support and that like deeper connection, I guess. So yeah, I'm also appreciative of the smaller group today, recognizing that I think there are times for big groups to come together as well to work on stuff. Yeah, I feel pumped. I feel pumped right now. Like, yeah, it's fun to hear what everyone's working on and what everyone's struggling with and what's moving forward. It's very like, what's the word for that? It like feeds itself. Like, I guess it helps me to feed off of like everyone else's momentum and stuff. So yeah, I feel really pumped and excited and like rejuvenated to move forward with everyone. You know that everyone's kind of doing the same thing. It was really cool. I feel like I have a lot of big challenges going on right now, but also challenges that it's like kind of like the pushing the edge thing, like, oh, it's here, but also I know I'm here to take it too. So I feel very much this like stepping into and up to the challenges that really I put on myself. So can't really blame anyone for it anyway. And yeah, I don't know, just yeah, excited for you guys, excited for myself, excited for everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree across the board. It's going to be an interesting balance to, yeah, I think it's almost just more like interest specific events coming up, so then groups can self-select and really dive in. But yeah, we'll find ways. I like this a lot more than lecture-based stuff. Awesome. I think we also did fairly well on time, so high five to everyone for that. Although I say that we're still over, but yeah, awesome. So I mean, yeah, we're gonna keep going. For those still interested in the call, we're still gonna keep going on cold shower stuff. Got the spreadsheet if anyone wants to track. Circle invites should be coming this week, so perhaps even by next call we'll have people coming through Circle, so that'll be super exciting. And yeah, I mean, you can always find us on Telegram, you can always find us in the community, and until then, I will see everyone again very soon.